If you're a trained nurse, engineer, or doctor outside of the United States of America, getting your credentials registered here in the United States is a whole new project. And translation is where lots and lots of people lose weeks upon weeks on their application process. Let's fix that. Nurses go through something called CGFNS. It's the Commission on Graduates of Foreign Nursing Schools. Engineers, they typically go through a state licensing board plus an NCEES or WES credentialing report. And physicians, they go through an ECFMG credentialing before they can enter a US residency. Each of these has its own document checklist, but every single one of them requires a certified English translation of everything that's not already in the English language. So one of the biggest parts that most people miss is that evaluation and translation are two completely different things. Two different services done by two different types of providers. And mixing them together is one of the single biggest causes of delay. Our company, Taika Translations, partners with some of the largest credentialing service providers in the country to make sure that your credentials are translated and then processed in the required manner. Working with a provider like Taika Translations, my company, would be very beneficial because then you have a translation company that works right alongside the credentialing company that can make sure that everything gets processed smoothly, quickly, and hopefully in a way that causes your application or your residency or your certification to be accepted. So the evaluator in a credentialing organization decides if your foreign degree or license is equivalent to one in the US. And so the certified translator's main job is to render your diploma, your certification, or your license into an accurate US format so that an evaluator can actually understand, read it, and verify that it's equivalent in the United States standards. If the translation is incomplete, if it's missing a stamp, if there are seals missing, or a rotational log, or maybe an evaluator sends, or maybe there's something in the content that the evaluator doesn't understand that came from the original form or hasn't transferred correctly into the target form, which is the form that you'll be submitting with your package to whatever credentialing agency, then that's going to cause the evaluator to have a relook over your document or send it back for revision, so that might start the entire process completely over. And that's not something that you can normally afford when you're working through the process of getting all of this done. And it's definitely not a stress that you need because you already have so many different issues that you're dealing with. Where am I going to live? Where am I going to work? Or how do I get this, the process of credentialing and working through the actual application and certification and obtaining of the required permissions to be able to do this work in the United States is already stressful enough. You don't need to add on top of that an extra stress of not having somebody in your corner who knows what they're doing, who's done thousands upon thousands of these and done them successfully for many people who've entered the United States and entered the workforce successfully. So for nursing, what a full package looks like is the diploma, full clinical transcripts with the rotations, and the original license. For engineering, it's your degree, your transcript, and any other professional licenses that you hold in your origin country. And for medicine, of course, it's your medical degree and license, transcript, internship, or residency, and the certificates for all of those, and or letters of recommendation. Every stamp, every seal, every signature, every single line, and the formatting gets translated into a new form that an evaluator can verify in the original form, and they are detailed. There's no summaries involved here. It must match this for that exactly so that there is no discrepancy, and because nobody wants to take on the legal risk of claiming that you are something or you have done something that you have not. And this is something we see constantly. Somebody pays for a cheap, fast translation online. The evaluator flags it, send it back for revision. It causes either weeks of delay or complete revision, even more cost for the translation simply because it wasn't done the way it needed to be done. And now they're 3 months behind, rather than working in the first place with a provider that understands the CGFNS, WES, or ECFMG formatting on their very first try. We translate nursing, engineering, and medical credentials for CGFNS, WES, ECE, and ECFMG submissions. And we do that in over 300 languages. And it's formatted the way evaluators always expect it to be. Send us your documents at taikatranslations.com and we'll tell you exactly what you need before you pay anything. Again, visit www.taikatranslations.com for more information.